What do you do when the person you love the most starts fading right in front of you, but never actually leaves? The quiet exit. My name's Nathan, and I used to think that when love died, it went out in a blaze. That it screamed, fought through plates or slammed doors. But it doesn't. Sometimes it vanishes in silence, while you're still sitting next to the person you married. I didn't leave my wife because she cheated. There wasn't a big betrayal or screaming match that shook the walls. No, what pushed me out was something much quieter, more corrosive. The silence. The kind that builds up so slowly you don't realize how deafening it is until it drowns you. I was 32 when I married Lauren. She worked in public relations for a travel agency. Sharp, ambitious, full of stories and spark. She brought energy into every room she walked into. I ran a leather workshop on the edge of town. Wallets, belts, journals. I love working with my hands, shaping stubborn material into something real. And at first we balanced each other well. I was the calm to her fire. But balance doesn't always mean compatibility. Not forever. The first few years were good, simple even. We had Sunday mornings, her waffles, my coffee. We took weekend trips to little towns just to wander. We'd share playlists, whisper future plans under thick blankets, talk about where we'd build our cabin someday. But time does something strange to people who stop choosing each other. Started small. She stopped asking about my day. During dinner, she'd scroll through her phone without glancing up. When I shared a new design I was excited about, she'd nod vaguely, say, "Nice," and keep watching her show. One night, I crafted her a handmade leather journal. She used to love writing. I thought maybe it would remind her of who we were. She took it with a half smile and set it on the kitchen counter. It stayed there for weeks, untouched. Like a memory neither of us wanted to relive. You'd think I'd confront her, but I didn't. Kept making excuses. She's tired. She's busy. It'll pass. But the truth was I was shrinking. Each week, I felt more like a tenant than a husband. Our conversations became functional, like coworkers assigning tasks. No affection. No curiosity. Just daily maintenance. She stopped reaching for my hand. She passed me in the hallway like I was the coat rack. And when I kissed her goodnight, she'd tilt away like I was interrupting something. Still I stayed. 'Cause I believed patience was love. That endurance meant commitment. That maybe if I just waited long enough she'd come back. But she was already gone. Just waiting for me to admit it. The final shift came one quiet Friday in October. Our anniversary. I spent a week handcrafting a satchel for her. Custom stitched. Her initials engraved on the inside flap. I booked dinner at that old place near Pine Hollow, where we once talked about baby names and shared apple pie. She came home late. No apology. Just a casual, "Oh, I forgot. I'm not really up for it. Can we reschedule?" She never opened the gift. Said she'd check it out later. Later never came. That night I slept on the couch. Not because she told me to, but because I couldn't bring myself to lay next to someone who made my love feel like background noise. A few days later I came into the shop early. My apprentice, Jonah, barely 22 and full of fire, looked at me and said, "You okay? You look like a ghost, man." He wasn't wrong. I was there. I just wasn't in anything anymore. At home, Lauren had grown even more distant. One Sunday morning, I found her at the kitchen island with her smoothie and laptop, tapping away like it was Monday. I said, "Hey." She didn't even glance up. I said it again, louder. She finally looked up, blinked and said, "Oh, didn't see you. Didn't see me. Not didn't hear me. Not didn't realize. She didn't see me. I was furniture." That's when I realized something tragic. We hadn't fallen apart. We'd faded. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't abusive. She was just done. And too indifferent to admit it. I didn't leave right away. I still clung to hope like a fraying rope. But I started noticing everything. The casual neglect. The way her laugh returned around her friends but never around me. The rain checks that never came back around. One night at a party, someone asked how long we'd been married. Lauren said. 7 years. Feels like 20. Everyone laughed. I didn't. That night, I stood in the kitchen watching her scroll Instagram with her wine. She looked happy, content, even radiant. Just not with me. And that's when the grief hit. Not as sadness but as silence. I wasn't hated. I was forgotten. I didn't leave with a bang. There was no suitcase dragged out the door. No speeches or ultimatums. One morning I just stopped. I wrote her a note. It said, "Lauren, I'm not angry. I'm just tired of not being seen. I can't keep loving someone who treats me like a shadow. I deserve more. So do you. Take care." Packed a small bag. My laptop. Few clothes. My tools. And I walked out. I stayed at my friend Mason's workshop across town. His spare room was dusty, barely furnished. But I slept better there than I had in years. Lauren didn't text for a while. When she finally did, it was just one line. "You okay?" I didn't respond. Not because I hated her, but because the silence I once feared had become peace. I stopped chasing meaning in her indifference. I gave up begging to be noticed. I no longer wanted to prove I was worthy of affection. In the weeks that followed, I started living again. Not dramatically, not publicly, just quietly. I opened an Etsy shop under a new name. Iron Pine Leather. I stopped mass-producing wallets and started taking custom orders again. Pieces with stories. One woman asked for a memorial notebook for her brother who passed. When she picked it up, she cried. She said it felt like someone had finally listened. And that's when I realized I was still capable of being felt. I didn't rush into dating. I didn't find some magical woman who fixed me. This isn't that story. But I did rediscover who I was before I started begging for scraps of love. Mornings became mine again. Coffee at sunrise. Journaling in silence. Evening walks out by Walnut Canyon. Peace finally didn't feel lonely. It felt earned. People think leaving means drama. That heartbreak always comes with yelling. But sometimes the most devastating end is the quietest one. Sometimes the most painful goodbyes don't sound like explosions. They sound like nothing.